We're live! Yay! Hi, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph, and I'm here today with my lovely bookish sci-fi friends from the Interstellar Book Club. We are a monthly sci-fi book club, and this month we were reading the third book in the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. So we're just going to take a minute to go around and introduce ourselves in case there's anybody new with us here today. If you are one of our regular space crew, welcome back. So you guys know what I do here, and I will pass it over to Jessa.
Hey guys, I'm Jessa. My channel is Gabbin with Jessa. I do bookish content. I've been talking a lot Marvel recently too, so I just kind of talk about things, books, pop culture, all fun things like that. Yeah, I'll throw it down to Melody.
Hi, my name is Melody. I'm from Strawberry Lemon Books, and I do a lot of reading vlogs. Not lately, because school has been a mess, but I usually do. And yeah, pass it to Max.
Hey, I'm Max. I'm from Max Reads, and I do single book review videos of any genre. I'll read anything.
All right, awesome. Let's see, we got a couple people here. Hi, Adam.
Hey!
Hi, Birdie. Birdie, I heard you got a haircut. I love it. Hi, Darwan. All right, cool. We got some people joining us. So far, we have read the first two books, and we read those in the month of January. That was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and A Close and Common Orbit. So if you would like to see our group discussion for that, that was on Melody's channel over at Strawberry Lemon Books, and the description, everyone's description link will be in the description below. But this month, we're going to talk about the third book in the Wayfarer series, and we are highly anticipating the fourth book release, which actually came out in the UK, where Max is, a few weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, I think. And he is going to be our host for next month when we discuss that in March. So please definitely go and check out everyone's channel to keep update on when that is going to happen. Hey, guys. Yay, friends.
Oh my God. So many people.
Taking this as my break to avoid homework.
I feel that so much.
Yes, it is Sunday. Take a break.
I am 66 out of 91 questions done so far.
Yes.
You're nearly there. You're nearly there.
You can do it.
You're on the home stretch.
I love it. All right, guys. So I feel like it's really hard to talk about this without talking about spoilers, being that we're the third book in, but do you guys think there's anything that we can start off with that's non-spoilery, if at all? Not sure how to do that.
I guess just the overall themes of the book, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think the overall theme and the overall message was?
Well, hopefully me and Melody can have an answer because we crammed this book in the last 24 hours. So I'm hoping.
Like at the top of your
My
mind.
brain's still processing.
Yeah, I'm still processing. Apologies if you guys hear rumbling in the back because there's construction in my house right now. But I need a second to think about that. Jessa, do you have an answer?
I'm trying to think, and I think because of one of my favorite characters in this book, I feel a good sense of family. We know that these other two books have also talked about family as well, not just like your blood family, but like your found family. And I think that this series, continuing along with this book, just has a really good message about what it means to be a family, again, whether that be by blood or a found family.
I think that's a really good point because that's like the overarching theme. Anyone in the chat want to jump in on that as well? If you guys have any ideas of overarching themes, please let us know. Adam says, Max, how are you? And how are things across the ocean?
I'm well. I'm not in London. I'm in the north part of the country, but that is chef's kiss.
Hey, kid, how are you? That wasn't racist.
You have to read it. You have to read it again, though.
Well, please let us know how much you enjoyed it, at least. Is it on par? Like, how much can we look forward to it? Because we are super, super excited. But you know what? That's not your fault either, Kit, because originally the plan was for us to read both books this month. And then with the whole like quarantine and everything, we decided to push back the fourth book. So you are on track. Thank you for being so attentive to the group's schedule. Rita says, yeah, family's a big theme, whether blood or not doesn't really matter. Belonging and finding home means different things to different people, even if you're in the same place. Yes.
Mhm.
Good answer.
Really good answer. Really good answer. I guess how culture survives contact. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Should we just jump straight into it? Because there's not much we could talk about without
I want to say
spoilers.
one more thing. One more little thing. I think the two main takeaways from this one, I think there was a lot about cultural tourism in this one, and like being able to like living in a part of a culture and being able to experience that as tourism and go home at the end of the day is like very different. And then I think that the main part of the book for me was trying to find the balance between where do you draw the line between preserving a culture and making life better for yourself and your family. I think like trying to find the balance of how to do that.
Exactly, 110%. Nally says, I think of themes, we also have like keeping a legacy alive in traditions. Yeah, that goes
The idea
back
of
to
legacy with the Exodans is so important to them as well.
Well,
so yeah,
we also get different sections in their book where they're talking. It's very heavy on the career aspects and what's involved in archivalism. Am I saying that correctly? Archivalists, it's the correct term. And just museums and what it means to, I guess, assign value to a certain object. Yeah. Way of life being threatened. Definitely. Or whether that threat was real or perceived. Are we talking about like how sorry. Are we talking about when it was in the past previously threatened before they came about creating these like these moving these ecosystems that they can transport? Or are we talking about their culture? Or are we talking about, or what they believed with would happen with integrating into or assimilating with the Galactic Commons? So there's different aspects of that.
I think more along the lines of the latter,
Yeah.
Galactic Commons aspect.
I love that. I love that so much. It's really cool finding a well, I'm gonna pause for it. You guys go ahead. I'm gonna pause for this.
Okay. Well, Kit said that the fourth book is on par with A Long Way, but not quite as good as A Close and Common. So
It's gonna be impossible to beat Close and Common.
Interesting.
For me, Close and Common was up there.
No, I'm agreeing. Close and Commons is my favorite right now too, even though I said I wouldn't choose one. But
I think this one is honestly. I think this is my favorite.
Really?
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
Why?
Oh,
I think I was just able to connect with it like right away. Like the other two were like great, and I know I didn't really like the second one as much because it took me a little bit to get into it. But I don't know. I just like instantly connected with this one. Maybe it's because it's the third one, so I'm already familiar with everything.
Okay.
But I don't know. I really like this one.
Okay. I get that.
I'm gonna say let's give the spoiler warning now.
Okay. All right, guys.
I think we should just go for it.
Okay, guys, so we're going to jump into spoilers. So if there's anyone who was just here to talk about what we're going to be reading next month, just so you know, a reminder, we're going to be on Max's channel. So definitely go and check out his channel so you can catch us again next month for the last book in this series, which is The Galaxy and the Ground Within. Okay. Yes. Woo. There it is. I think I'm
pretty.
Yes. So cool. All right. So let's jump in. Yes to archivism, but the English language also has a difference between archivist and a records manager. Oh, Isabel technically being both, even if she was mostly called an archivist. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, I really liked that. I feel like in every book we've gotten a different career path that's kind of like the central focus. And that she's bringing light to this career path that I think a lot of people may not even be aware of. Like, we know that someone's doing this work, but we don't really pay attention to how do you choose to become that or what that entails. That's really, really cool.
I think that becomes especially important as well when they've like lost Earth and you can't go and look at culture anymore. You can't go and visit ruins or anything. Like archivism is like, it's the most important thing.
And how different, I was thinking for a little bit, like how different that is when it's someone who is taking record of their own civilization versus someone else coming in and doing archaeological work.
Yeah.
Like what kind of rules or ethical, moral guidelines that comes with.
I think somebody recording their own culture is going to be a lot less patronizing than somebody else doing it, and you won't get that like condescension of somebody who comes in from outside. But the Harmagian though, they came from outside, and that was really cool.
I actually love those chapters. Those were some of my favorite chapters.
Me too. I really expected it to be like when the person that was staying with the Harmagian, was it Tessa who was hosting?
I don't think so.
I can't remember.
Wasn't it? It was Isabel.
Oh yeah, Isabel. Yeah. But when Isabel was hosting the Harmagian and they're showing the Harmagian around the ship, I was like, this is going to be a plot device. And this is going to be how Becky Chambers' world builds, like through the eyes of showing the Harmagian around. But then I was like, is that going to be really clumsy? Is it going to feel like a plot device? But then when they were using the Harmagian chapters, when she's writing home on her blog and giving her opinion on stuff as part of the plot, I thought that was really, really well done. In some of the other books, I haven't really liked the like email bits. But in this one, they were really important, I think.
Yeah, I think that's why I was able to connect to it too, because some books that I read, especially more modern ones, because, of texting being so popular now, sometimes like the text or the emails can like help me in the book. And I think that this one really did help me, which is why I was able to connect to it better. So I really did like that the emails were in this as well.
See a couple more people saying that it was their least favorite. I think we're mostly consensus, but that's okay. It was still really good. So, whether just because a lot of us are saying that we didn't like it as much as others, it was still a really good book. So it could, I think it does deserve a lot of credit. The fact that they're also positive in the face of all that's possible migration of data and all the possible pitfalls that seriously, it was still hopeful.
It's always so hopeful.
It's always hopeful, yeah.
So I want to ask Jessa then, what made this your favorite?
I really like the character of Tessa. I can't really recall much of mother characters in the previous two books that like focused on like a very maternal kind of just like character. And I know that with like the kids wanting to leave or whatever, and I just think that I don't have kids or anything, but I don't know, I was just able to connect with her right away, and I think she was just very fun for me to read from like kind of a different view. I feel like the people we've gotten haven't like, they've just kind of been like their own solo kind of people. Maybe they had a relationship, but she was like a mother, so I really liked her character as well. I don't know, I was just able to connect with her really, really well. So
with the storyline of Tessa, there was actually a bit that took me a while to like grasp, and I was like, am I just being dumb? Where, right at the start when she lets her daughter go down to the viewing platform, and then she goes in the lift, gets down there, and she just hears her daughter scream. I didn't connect that was because the little girl saw the other ship decompress. and that was the reason for the little girl screaming.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you guys to explain what happened.
I was like, why is she screaming? Why is that never picked up on?
Okay, that actually makes more sense.
She saw the ship explode.
I didn't get that until like near the end of the book when they were like why she was afraid of their planet and stuff.
That makes sense.
I was like, I felt like I should have picked up on that sooner. Like when I realized it, I was like, why did I not realize that before? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I totally understand why I didn't get it because I read this like go. So I was like, you guys explain. But that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
That would have been so scary to see.
Yes, thanks for that.
It seems like a few people didn't, so it must just be the book's fault.
To be honest, though, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think with the contrast to the Harmadian, the best contrast with the Harmadian was freaking Sawyer, because you had like Harmadian who was not a human at all, who'd come into this with like this huge attitude of respect, and she done so much research. She was willing to get involved and try everything. And Sawyer was like, "Oh, I guess I'm related to these people somehow. Everything's going to turn out fine." So I feel like that contrast was probably my favorite one in the book. I really, really like that.
That seems to be a trend because Becky Chambers seems to write some really good dual timelines with these high contrast moral characters. Because in the last book, it was also what was it? It was she went out on that big scream having counseling, but I fully thought the child had died.
And this was a different kid.
Yeah, it was a different kid. What were the last two characters? It was Pepper and from the last book, Jane.
Yeah. Jane is Pepper.
Oh, right, but we got the we thought.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
She does that really, really well. But also, I really like that bit in the beginning, in that first chapter, where Tessa. Well, this was before I understood that she was an archivist and that she was doing her job. But when her first response was to tell her assistant, "Hey, take out your camera, start recording," and then when they realized what was going on, that she told them to turn the camera off out of respect. I thought that was going to turn into something about like social media, make a stance on how in society there's this instant action of whipping out our phone and our camera and recording what's happening in front of us without taking into regard how that recording of those individuals is going to affect their lives once that goes viral. But it didn't go that way. But that's kind of like where I was like, oh, Becky Chambers, what social commentary are you making right now?
Because I thought the same thing. Because again, like just with how things are, you can see a video of someone and then they can like, get all this praise or they can be canceled or whatever. Or sometimes even watching it, I watch those videos of like, I don't know, a fight going on or someone screaming at someone. And I'm like, why isn't the person filming doing anything? Like, why is it our instant reaction to just take out our phones and like record this instead of like stepping up and doing anything? Would I step up in those situations if it was like a fight? Probably not. But like, I also wouldn't whip out my phone. So
there's a word for that. What is the word for that? There's a word for it.
Bystander effect.
Is that what it's called? The bystander effect? Well, that's when individuals kind of turn into making that decision to either aid or assist. Technically, they're assisting by not stopping it, but I think there's another word for that. Bystander something. I'll look it up in a second, but let's see what some people are saying. Frida says the scream. Oh, I think did we read this one already? Or no? Frida said this room is quite nice.
It's a good point.
It was quite cleverly written how Aya was scared of the outside. Yeah.
I like how as well on that point, you don't get any kind of pictures of what the family was like before, except for through the eyes of how Tessa is remembering it before from the scream. I think that's really cool.
I almost felt like Tessa could have been her own book. Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think all of the other characters like kind of like met each other some way or another, but I don't think any of them ever met Tessa.
That's a good point. Did they?
Hmm.
I don't think so either. I kind of read in my mind. I imagine Becky Chambers as Tessa, because I know in her what is it, her little biography at the end, or a little author about me, she mentioned that she has a young daughter within the past couple of years. So I just kind of imagined her writing herself into that role.
Ooh.
I love the kids in the story.
Mm-hmm.
They made me laugh so much.
It's cool that motherhood in sci-fi is then being written from an own voice perspective.
Yes.
If she has a kid, that's
There's
cool.
not enough of that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jessa is actually starting a women's STEM book club. So, Jessa, if you want to plug that for a second, because
of course, yeah. So we're reading sci-fi books. Science is part of the sci-fi part, and I'm starting a Women in STEM book club. So it's going to be hopefully mostly fiction books featuring women in STEM fields. So that is science, technology, engineering, and math. Anything in those fields. The first book that is going to actually take place for March for International Women's Month is Transcending Kingdom. That is a book about a woman who is getting her degree in neuroscience. She's getting her PhD, and she goes into that because her family has had a lot of problems with addiction and with her mother's suicidal. And so she got into PhD, or she got into neuroscience because she wanted to learn more about those aspects that have affected her life. So that's our first book. And yeah, so if you have any suggestions for science books too that you have for women in any of those STEM fields, not just science in particular, but if technology or, like I said, math or something, the Kids Quotient's a good one because she is into math. So the main character for that. So any book, any field, just let me know.
Maybe you guys can do some of the other Becky Chambers books, like the non from this
yeah.
series. I bet you a good point. So yeah, if you guys want to read more women in fiction, there is your answer.
That sounds like a super interesting idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
That is a great idea. I definitely plan on joining you at some point this year.
Same.
Let's see. Kit says, because all the other characters, the turning point is Sawyer's death, but for Tessa, I think it really starts when Aya watches the ship decompress. It just took longer. Yeah, kids need time to process things, and it's also very difficult for them to be able to relay what they witnessed. So it's understandable that took a little bit longer. Adam says, what construction is going on? My kitchen. They're putting in my new sink right now. Also because Tessa's had different themes, I think, and also I wanted more Tessa. I really liked her chapters too. I feel like they were kind of like a soft break in between everything else that was going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Who was everybody's favorite? Oh, sorry, Melody.
Oh, I was just gonna say I wanted Ashby to pop up sometime.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I really did.
Too. I want a little Ashby cameo. Oh, he's back. But what were you gonna say, Max?
I was going to ask who everybody's favorite character was.
Well, like I said, mine was Tessa because I was able to connect with her right away, and not just because her name is also very close to mine, but it was my favorite.
No bias at all.
No bias.
Right?
I really like the Harmagian, so I'm gonna go with.
She was very cool. She was
really cool and just so sweet.
Yeah.
I love her chapter. They're writing every time we would get that little bit when they were first writing their new blog entry or their letter or whatever they were writing, and you had that whole introductory paragraph of, please understand that if I say anything offensive, it is not directed towards you. It is based on my understanding. The consideration. So nice. Furry's so nice. And the conversations between the Harmagian and Isabella and how they would always kind of prep each other saying, can I have an honest conversation with you? Is this a good time to talk about something that might be confrontational? Just that whole setup. I'm like, can't more people do that? Please.
I think one of my favorites in the book was between Isabel and the Harmagian, where she is like, I want to shake your hand, but I know that I can't. Do you have an equivalent thing I can do? And she's like, what do you want to convey? And she's like, respect. That for me was, I love that moment. That was so nice.
So good, so good, so good. But what about you guys? What's your favorite?
I really like the caretaker. She was probably my favorite.
Yeah. AS?
AS, yeah.
It was my favorite.
The fact that she was so, like, she knew exactly how to help Kip at the end of the book. Told him, like, exactly what he needed to do to become a whole person. I like, yeah. She was
and I really liked her like relationship with Sunny, and then like how they started a school in the end. I was like, oh my gosh,
I know, and I love how open and honest they were about including Sunny in that. Like, yes, this is a healthy aspect of our society, and we should be open and willing to talk about this. I love that for you guys. Kit says their favorite character was Isabel's wife,
Tamsin.
I wish we saw more of Tamsin.
Yes. I really liked her.
She did not care about anything.
I love it.
That was like the purest old lady love.
I know. It was so cute. I aspire to this level of love when I'm 90. Like, it's so cute. I would recommend Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. Oh, protagonist is a Black woman in STEM. I didn't know that. And I think this book is pretty popular right now, I think, on BookTube. It deals with the challenges in the field of astronomy and healthy dose of romance and mental health problems.
Yep, thank you so much. I just grabbed a picture of that description right there for that. Thank you.
Yes, I love that.
I feel like I have that on like my various lists that I saw. It sounds familiar, but like, thank you if I don't. So
awesome. I'm gonna definitely add that to my TBR.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Tamsin of Awesome. Yes, they're so sweet. I love them. All right, cool. So what do you guys want to talk about next? Any specific like questions or anything? Any plot points that anyone wants to focus on?
Let me look at my notes.
Oh, I got my notes here too.
I wasn't expecting Sawyer to die.
Me neither.
No, me neither.
Like, what?
Me neither. Definitely not. The whole time I was like, dude. Actually, you know what? I struggled a little bit, and this might just because I haven't had enough time to digest it since I just finished it this morning. But the section where he was struggling morally as to whether it's okay to take the items from the wreck, when they were salvaging, when he said there was some line about when he was talking to Oates, who had brought him, who had recruited him, and when he realized that these objects were from the I forgot what the name of the ship was, but what were from the decompression disaster, and he called it stealing. But Oates was saying that, you know, these objects no longer belong to anybody. So is it really considered stealing? And my initial thought was I couldn't really understand why he was having such a moral problem with it if all the individuals who those items belonged to passed away. But I was hoping either you guys would be able to help me understand, or whether there was some sort of process within the Exodus culture that you have to handle these objects a certain way that I just didn't get.
I think it raises the really interesting question of how long do you have to wait after somebody dies before looting becomes archaeology?
I thought he was considering it stealing because I think that the accident or whatever, they were taking the parts back from the ship. I think that was the whole like cargo bay 8 thing. It was all the like a lot of the remains from the ship. So I think there's like a process in how they go about processing all of the material, and they were just like skipping ahead of the line.
I guess that makes sense.
I think I know why that he was having an issue with it, because I think that like before that point he probably didn't fully consider the ships to be people's homes and people's livelihoods, and it's only when you see them full of dead bodies with their possessions floating around everywhere that you're like, holy shit, people lived here, people lived their entire lives here, and now everything is gone. Like, this is all they had. I think when it was like laid bare in front of him, he probably had the realization. I'm not sure.
So he was kind of looking at like grave robbing?
Maybe, or maybe just taking advantage of them when he was an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. That's kind of like what I got from it too, being like, if you were maybe like today, like if I was this kind of a person like real life and they had these objects like shipped to me, I wouldn't feel like as bad because I'm like, okay, I'm taking these are from whatever colony that doesn't exist anymore. Someone else gave them to me and now I can observe or, you know, put them into databases or things like that. But when you physically go and you see like the people who are like their bodies are still there and stuff, and so maybe he just felt like because he was in there that space and because he was physically there, maybe it hit him a little more, being like, ooh, these don't belong to me. I know it's for like history reasons, but like still don't really feel right about this. So
especially when he found like the SD card or something with somebody's name on it, and he's like, should we take it back and see if we can find who this belongs to?
I get it. That actually makes a lot of sense. I was probably just running through it like, okay, it's trash now. So, I mean, the way that I was understanding it was because I guess I was reflecting on like there was another section, it might have been after, it might have been before, where they were talking about how because the Exodans do trade instead of having some sort of like monetary exchange system like the rest of the Galactic Commons, that there were individuals who were trying to like compensate for that what was happening. And so that's what Oates and his team were doing. They were like, well, we need a way to be able to make coin since our society isn't accepting of it anyway. So that's what we're trying to do. So I didn't necessarily see them as like bad people.
Right.
They're just trying to do with what they can and make sense of how the world around them is evolving.
So you saw that as kind of like a symptom of the Galactic Commons intrusion into Exodan culture? No, I totally get where you're coming from. I think that's a good point.
Kit says it was like watching a car crash in slow motion between Toyer and Kit, though. Yeah. Kit was funny. I was cracking up in his chapters.
When his parents found him at the brothel.
That was great. That was great.
That was so good.
That was so funny.
They were drinking for hours and like, do you feel drunk? No. Is this what it's supposed to feel like? I guess.
He was like, I have a high tolerance.
Good. But you know what? I got a little confused there because there was a bit of a time jump in Kip's age. So I had to go back and I was like, isn't he 11? What do you mean he's 20? Like, what do you mean he looks 20? He has a beard. He's 11. Like, what? Oh, okay. I mean, I guess it's like grave robbing in a way. Frida says no bodies. Yeah, I think they explained earlier, I think, right, that whose team was it? Was it Aya's team went in and cleaned out the bodies?
Yeah.
They used that piece of Aluon tech, find biosignatures in the ship, I think, and like go through and stuff. Yeah, there's a due process for making use of the items on the wreck. Plus, I think Sawyer also thought there might be family who wasn't in the wreck that might want them.
Yeah.
True.
It's true. I wonder if that would be part of their process. Being that every single thing gets recycled within the Exodus fleet, if there is any protocol for finding the individuals next of kin before recycling those materials. Kip is such a teenager. Yeah.
I think we all had a Kip phase.
Yeah, we all had a Kip phase. Either hanging with the wrong crowd or watching other people crash and burn or saying, at a party you weren't supposed to. AS team cleaned it. Yeah. Cool. We did. Let me see my notes. What else did I want to talk about? I didn't feel as emotionally attached to these characters.
Overall, I didn't, but there were more emotional, very small emotional moments, I think. But overall, yeah, I agree.
I feel like there was a lot of like societal like quotes and stuff that I was like, I'm keeping this forever. This my heart, but to the characters, it wasn't as much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just have like no tears left after book 2.
You're saving them up for book 4.
Yeah, I'm
Oh my
building
gosh,
the
yeah.
stockpile up again.
Well,
Wow.
also, Max, we know your MO is AI, and there were not any sentient AI in this
Yeah,
book. So
there's no sad robots. So
didn't do it. The one of my favorite sections was in the beginning when they were describing how someone is in a stage of grief. You're supposed to wear a white armband, so everyone is aware to treat you with like a little bit of patience or just to give you your space. I love that so much. Why can't our society have something like that?
some people do wear an armband. Some people wear a piece of black cloth, but I think it's rarely done. I think it's like an old thing.
In what cult? Do you know what cultures that's common?
I'm not sure. I know Jewish people rip their clothes as well.
Oh, do they?
And they'll like rip a pocket so that people know they're grieving or something.
Oh, that makes sense. I watched The Nanny. I don't know if anyone watches The Nanny. It's from like the 90s.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
The main character is Jewish, and she like ripped a part of her clothing when she was like in distress or something like that. Oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense now. Because I was like, why did she do that? But that makes so much more sense now.
There definitely should be some kind of like. I'm glad I could help a tiny bit. Yeah, the idea of like go easy on me, it should be more widely done. Definitely,
it should be. It should be. I mean, at least I feel like in our culture here in the U.S., it's when we do get bereavement, it's a very short amount of time. It's usually like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's not enough time to heal from losing someone dear to you. So.
And that usually only counts for like a close family member, like a parent or a sibling. And like, I've had friends pass away, and like that hurts just as much. Yeah, they're not blood to me, but like it still hurts.
Yeah. What gives somebody else the right to tell you the value of a relationship? Really?
Say it louder for the people in the back. Yes. For real. And they addressed that in here too. Who was it? Was it Tessa? Or someone was mourning, and they were saying, it might have been Kip, where his mom was like wrapping an armband around him or something. And she was like, I know you didn't know them, but they were a part of the fleet, so we should still be allowed to grieve.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. So good. Let's see, we have some more comments. I think with book 2, you're so close with the 2 POVs, you don't get as close because there are so many.
True.
There were loads in this book. There were like 5 or 6 at least. Yeah, there were a lot.
One can also see a lot of athletes wear black bands when doing their sports when something has happened. Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know.
Okay, official motion to bring this custom back. Definitely. And I think also because in our culture, it's very common to say, okay, you're grieving, but you still need to work. Your work doesn't stop, or you need to take your work home with you, or you're expected after grieving to come back and make up for lost time working. And something as a common symbol to let everyone know that we need that little bit of mercy would be really helpful. Because that pain just doesn't disappear after those few days that you're given bereavement. It still takes time.
Oh, I'm assuming The Nanny.
The Nanny was a good show. Yeah. Let's see. Something
was there
else. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that a connection that I made to Sawyer was I was thinking more, and this is my American brain thinking the American dream, right? Leaving everything behind to like go and find, but just the amount of courage it takes for anyone to leave your home, and just kind of pick up everything and go. So we also had that duality between him not having any family, immediate family waiting for him home, versus Tessa when she decided to leave towards the end and having to come to terms with how that would affect, everyone around her. So there were a couple different words. There were more
Parallels?
Someone help me. Parallels. Yes, thank you. There are a lot more parallels going on. But yeah, I admire Tessa for that though.
Mm-hmm.
All that courage that it took. But yeah, Max, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
First though, on what you just said with the Sawyer taking that huge risk and leaving his home behind. That's what Exodus culture is built on. That's what it stems from. Like, it all started at all. Like, where them leaving everything, putting all their bets on leaving Earth. So I think there's another parallel there. Becky Chambers loves parallels.
She does.
She likes parallels.
She does. I would love to see her wall where she has all of her notes and sticky notes. It probably got like string connected, like that one GIF with the guy who's got all the connections in the mailroom.
I was just gonna ask if there's any bits that anyone didn't like about the book. If there was stuff people wasn't keen on.
I didn't like.
Feel like so.
It's always hard with like these last 3 books that we've read, just because they've been so enjoyable that like even if there's something I was like meh about, like it doesn't really like draw it back for me.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think.
When a book is that much fun to read, it's difficult to pick holes in it. Definitely.
It really is. It really is. I wonder if anyone in the chat has a moment that stuck out to them as something that just didn't sit right. Just let us know so we can talk about it. But yeah, I definitely don't think so. There might have been a couple sections where I was maybe underwhelmed.
Okay.
But again, because just in general, the whole thing was a good time. It didn't register enough for me to remember right now. So.
Right.
It says the first 2/3 were too slow. Okay.
It did start slow. I can understand that.
The last bit did really pick up, though.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was kind of like book 1, though, in that respect, where neither of them had very much storyline until the last minute.
It's true. It's true. Until like the very last quarter of it.
Yeah.
The scenes with Tessa's boss were a little uncomfortable. Which scenes were those? Tessa's boss.
I think they got robbed. The cargo bay got robbed, and there were police over.
Yes.
And he was like, "Y'all need to do more."
Was that that wasn't Oates and that crew that Sawyer was with robbing, right? Or was it?
I think it might have been because one of the crew said that they had a way to get some stuff. I think it was like implied.
That didn't connect for me.
Okay. That makes sense.
But I don't know. I think it was implied.
Okay, because I was trying to decide whether that the people committing that was Oates' crew or whether it was just another piece to kind of tie back into all of the tension that is from the Exodans joining the Galacticons and having to change currency. There need to be a longer book to give you the payoff, or that could have been shorter, I guess.
It's the shortest book out of the 3, I think, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it's the shortest one.
It felt shorter when I was reading it.
This one?
But I was rushing as well.
Oh, it might be. Boy. I really like the page breaks in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, they were so... I cannot, especially like going to, like trying to finish it, the page breaks, they were amazing.
They were needed. They were needed.
Very much so.
Like the beginning was a bit of a struggle, maybe because book 2 was good, but it seemed bad by comparison. It was so our expectations were like way up here. Kit, is that what you're saying?
This is where Becky Chambers played herself. Like she's raised the bar so much that she has to stick to that now.
Let's hope she keeps it there or brings it back up for book 4. But
I hope so.
I think speaking of the page break, so me and Max are reading the Cosmere this year, and Max, I think after reading Warbreaker, which was like how many, like 40 something chapters, I think.
Yeah, at least.
Breaks are really nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. After some other scrap got stolen. Oh, that's where you're talking about. With Tessa's boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely would have preferred for the connection between the characters to be stronger early on.
Yeah, there was no, like, there wasn't a lot of coming together of the storylines.
It wasn't like
They weren't as interwoven.
You said it wasn't like...
It wasn't a found family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. Whereas the first two books were all about found family, and it's still, I feel like it's still in here. Like, it's still very relevant, but it's just not as cohesive as the other one. But it's still there. Definitely agree. Brady says that it took a bit longer to get into and for the connections to start. Did anyone have a least favorite character's perspective to read from?
Probably Kip's.
Kip's?
Early on Kip. And then at the end I was like, I really like Kip, but early on I was like, I don't care.
Teenager, get out of my face.
Yeah. Standard teenager. We know what's going on.
I don't want to do job trials. Leave me alone.
I feel like I wanted Sawyer to die earlier or there to meet.
That's cold.
Like, okay, so did we get enough time with Sawyer to have any kind of emotional connection to him? Or, I mean, I feel like, because a lot of the afterward, after he passed away, was following the characters as they're dealing with grieving someone that one they didn't know, but coming to terms with that murder is possible within this kind of utopian society. Yeah. So if he had died earlier, would we have been less willing to kind of understand their grieving process because we didn't have any connection with him, or would it have been the same?
I think Sawyer dying earlier would have been too close to the Otomoko exploding, and I think it had less impact, personally.
It was just a random guy.
Like at the beginning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just anyone.
Yeah, I feel like we wouldn't have cared as much. And it wouldn't be able, like, we wouldn't be able to get, like, the school forming, like, all of that, because it was all based from Sawyer's death.
Speaking of which, was anybody else really excited by the explanation of the planet? Was it Mushtool? Planet that Sawyer?
Mushtello.
Mushtello? Yeah, when they were describing having the two mornings and this mold that grew overnight. Yeah. I was super into it. Cool. I was like, I want to know more. I can't imagine living on a world where you go to sleep and you wake up and you have to wipe off mold from your entire house. It sounds horrible. Wait, let's see. We've got some more comments. Early on, Kip was a struggle just because, you know, he's been making mistakes, but the character development was good. Yeah, the character development was really good.
All of the character developments were really good.
Just needed more after his death.
Yeah, kind of combining that and then like what Birdie was saying, like how Birdie said that like she felt like that Sawyer should have died earlier, but or have more like after their death. So I think maybe if we got a little bit more, I guess maybe that could have helped with the impact of the death.
Yeah.
Sawyer to me felt like a plot device for the other PV characters. Tessa moving away, a story of finding back her passion and purpose. Kip sorting out his future. I mean, in a way, it was.
I feel like if he died earlier, it would have felt more like a plot device. But we had enough time to kind of connect with him, so it didn't it wasn't like a random thing that she just threw in.
Also, there's another parallel between him and Kip. Sawyer being like an older, early 20s adult who just was looking for their career path, and then maybe not having the guidance because we come to find that his family passed away, versus Kip, who has that guidance, and we got to see him blossom at a much younger age.
Yeah.
Dang, Becky Chambers just over here. See how all the characters deal with that, hence why it should be longer, because that's also the point of the other characters' arc coming together.
True.
I definitely felt like we had enough to get attached to Sawyer, but I would have preferred for the book to be longer, so his death sooner.
Ooh, okay. I see what you get there. I see what you mean there, yeah.
I wasn't expecting like that much of a time, like the time jumps to come so fast. I wasn't.
We're not here to talk about Elantris. Get out of here.
I didn't read Elantris.
Steph hasn't read it yet. Steph hasn't read it yet.
Don't spoil it. Sorry, Melody. What was the last thing you said?
I don't remember any.
Awesome. Okay, everyone's in a consensus. Okay, awesome. Are there any other plot points anyone wants to talk about?
One, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I think all my favorite bits were with the Harmadian, Gulaloa.
Oh, you said that really well.
Right? That was
What's that name?
I've been saying it Gulaloa.
I haven't been saying it at all.
With the name Gulaloa and with the name of the ship, the Oxomoko, the whole language in the book has like a really Maori sound to it. Like an almost Polynesian sound to a lot of the slang, even the way they say like, oh, Tech 10. Like, it sounds Polynesian. I really think it's pretty cool. But digressing, the bit where in the email, the Harmadian is telling the story about that animal on their home world and using it as a metaphor for you can never be an observer only. Just by being there, you will cause ripples. When they find the animal and like finding it wipes it out. Do you remember the beginning? I love that. And there was a line where she said, just as Harmadians never left the shore, humans never really left the forest.
Yeah.
I feel like that gave me like, it made all my hair stand on it.
I highlighted that part.
I loved it, yeah.
Also, parallel between the like going, you can never like observe, go somewhere and observe without having any effects. She talked about that in her novella that we first read.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Also, I just remembered the word. It's called active bystander.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, okay.
When you're in a situation in which you see something wrong, but you don't leave and you're still witnessing it happen, technically you are assisting by you're still using a power. You have a power and you're choosing to utilize it in that way. Let's see. The symbolism of Sawyer being the one that brought all the others sort of together, or through their art, like the coming together of his wish of belonging. Oh! Sad and true.
He was so happy to get that sanitation job after, once he got the meaning of it.
Yeah.
It's like, heart.
When was it Aes who told him to go back and get the sanitation job?
It was, yeah.
What was I gonna say? I don't know. The drilling just took it out of my head. But his little spark of, oh wait, that's actually something that could lead to something else. I really liked that whole system that they had. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but that everyone has to do these base necessities for society in order to, one, build their resume, to have any kind of like group work experience, team building experience, whatever that encompasses, but also to learn to not look down on what you have. I think that's really important. Or don't they do that in Asian cultures in school? Like the students have to help clean the building.
They clean the
things like
classrooms and stuff, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in Scandinavian countries, every single citizen does a year in the military. But I think it instills you with a sense of respect, I think.
No matter of their gender? They do
no
it?
matter.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh.
That's really interesting. Humans are the dodo of space.
This is gonna sound morbid, right? But the fact that they were wiped out so quickly makes me really, really think that dodos must have been freaking delicious. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact they're all gone, I bet they tasted like amazing.
The dodos were like better flavored chicken.
No, I think she means the animal that the Harmagian was talking about was the dodo. I think. Yeah, that's the gourmet stuff right there.
Oh my
Oh yeah, I think that's called the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, the observation state of collapse. I think it's interesting. Steph, I think you're broken.
Yeah.
I can't hear you at all.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I was muted. Awesome. Let's see. Are there any other specific points anyone wants to get to?
I want to say something I didn't like. Sorry, I feel
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, go for it.
The story of the Exodans, I feel like Becky Chambers might have stolen it from something else.
That's a big claim.
I know it's a big accusation, right? It's a big accusation.
Are you bringing sacrilege to our Becky Chambers following?
I don't want to bring sacrilege to it because I love her so much. There's another series. There's another series called The Saga of Seven Sons, which came out in the really early 2000s, and in it, it starts the same. Humans leave a dying planet. They build these huge ships to shoot out into space and basically gamble everything on it. They are picked up by a race of aliens who are super graceful and who are they're like ashamed to be in the presence of, right? And then also huge amounts of the people from the homesteaders, they're called generation ships in the Saga of Seven Sons. They choose not to leave the ships and to carry on the culture inside the ships, and they call themselves the Roamers. And it's literally identical. The two stories are literally the same.
You're referring to the story of how the Exodans met the Aeolians? Am I saying that correctly?
Just the origin of the Exodan culture is exactly the same as the Roamers in the other story.
Oh, interesting. Well, we know that Becky Chambers did her research.
She did.
So, and okay, this might be controversial, but as an artist, it's very... Okay, artists steal a lot. We steal a lot. However, there's like a very fine, very gray, very poorly lit line between stealing and appropriation and originality. Because everything comes, all of our ideas stem from our nurture and our external experiences. So I think it's unfair to say too much when we say, oh, well, this person took from that person, and really like hold them accountable for it. I think it's like you have to look at what percentage it's been taken. Yeah. And the same thing kind of happens in the visual arts. It's like what percentage of the overall composition was taken from the original source. And if you're going to take from that source, how can you justify that you were using it to further explore into a particular subject? Can you? Yeah. So I'm not mad at Becky Chambers.
Oh no, I'm not mad about it, but I feel like
I
feel like she was inspired by that book. I feel like she did it.
I can see that. Actually, on that point about the whole when the humans met the Aeolians and they said that they were trying to make it the celebration, this welcome aboard, That in itself was also very spot on for her, because I feel like we're used to hearing in science fiction, like, oh, the humans' first contact, we got to get the military involved, and we got to have all these things. And I'm thinking of like Arrival, right? How they set that up, and it could have gone south very quickly. But they were like, surprise, it's like birthday party. It's like, it felt very happy.
I feel like that's because humans were very, very aware that they were the lesser species in that situation. Like they didn't have the ego. I think the ego was gone. Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't realize. I thought it was mandatory.
All right. Cool. Awesome. Any other points that anyone wants to discuss before we wrap it up in a minute? So overall, what is everyone rating this?
4.
4? 5?
Yeah, I think 4. 4.25.
I'm definitely rating it a 4 also, but it definitely deserves a 4 or a 5. So if there's anybody still watching this and you haven't read it for some reason you choose to watch this after all these spoilers, please go read it, because it is definitely worth your time. And if there's anyone in the chat who wants to let us know what you guys rated it as well. It's mandatory.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. So, really quickly, do we want to read the synopsis for book 4?
Yes.
Does someone who has a copy want to read it?
Sure, I'll read it.
Yeah, good.
Okay. When a freak technological failures holds traffic to and from the planet Gora, 3 strangers are thrown together unexpectedly, with seemingly nothing to do but wait. Pei is a cargo runner at a personal crossroads, torn between her duty to her people and her duty to herself. Rovej is an exiled artist with a deeply urgent and longed-for family appointment to keep. Speaker has never been far from her twin, but now must endure the unendurable separation. Under the care of Olu, an enterprising alien, and Tupo, her occasionally helpful child, the trio are compelled to confront where they've been, where they might go, and what they might be to one another. Together, they will discover that even in the vastness of space, they're not alone.
Steph, why did you freak out right at the start?
Okay, so I forgot about this the first time I read the synopsis. I have a friend whose name is Gora. Okay. So when I first read the synopsis as a planet name, I was like imagining her head floating in space. I don't know how I'm going to get through this book without imagining my friend's head floating in space. Like, oh, you're just walking along. But anyway, any predictions for the 4th book about what the themes are going to be?
Found family.
Yeah.
It's frozen.
Yeah. Just like, she'll be back.
At some point. I think this is perfect.
Still going. Wait, was the first? It's not Pei from like Ashby's.
She's back.
Oh,
She's
you're
back.
back. You're back.
I don't know if I'm just saying it wrong, but the spelling is P-E-I.
Is it the same Pei as Ashby's girlfriend then?
Is it?
Are we gonna follow the Oleans now? Are we gonna follow?
Is it? Because I swear that was what her name was. It was Pei.
That was.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh, good memory. Oh.
Don't hate me if I'm wrong. When I heard Pei, I was like, Pei?
Rita says a murder mystery. Possible.
Very cool.
It says, I have forgotten one of the names as a character we know before. Oh, well, that confirms it.
Okay.
That confirms
I'm going to predict that when it says the aliens, one of them tells the child I think that they're going to be Laru because it's the only alien race we haven't had a focus on yet.
That's true. That's true.
So I think they're Laru.
Kit says, "Do you want me to say?" Keep it a surprise.
No, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil.
Don't spoil. So is this about homesteaders? Did I understand that correctly from the synopsis? You think it's going to be about like founding a society on this planet, Gora? I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe. I'm like, what aspect of space haven't we gotten yet? Because we talked about previously in one of the live shows how Becky Chambers didn't really focus too much on like humans being the brain. Sorry, drilling. Like not being focused on humans being the worst part of human society. But this book was very much focused on like the humans reflecting on how they've messed up in the past. So since that's out of the way, what other tropes are there to cover? Did the space crew, humans leaving Earth? She did cloning.
Oh gosh,
I feel like there's. I think they're going to talk a little bit about. They've name dropped a couple of times the race that's extinct.
Yeah. Well, you mean like what was his name? Mr. Chef?
No, the other race, the one that's gone, and there are like ruins everywhere from this race. But they had multiple planets and stuff. I think there could be some kind of archaeology theme. Maybe founding a society on a planet on the bones of somebody else's culture that's gone. I'm not sure.
That's interesting. Oh, speaking of which, I wanted to bring that up too. I really thought it was cool. First of all, I'm in love with the US cover now because I kept referring back to the picture when they were describing the hex.
I love the ship on that cover.
Love the ship. It is so cool.
Yeah.
So I take back what I said. Max, I'm keeping my copies. I'm sorry. But I'll be happy to send you copies. But they were talking about how they got the materials to create the Exodus fleet. Because I was wondering that too. Like, how did they get enough resources to be able to have this without completely destroying the Earth more than it already was? But
they just tore everything down.
They took down all the buildings, all the skyscrapers, and repurposed them. I was like, that is so smart.
Yeah.
Becky Chambers did it again.
when they were talking as well about like instead of just smashing it apart, how they were literally taking everything apart bolt by bolt as well.
When are we going to get to that point as a society? Because pollution is a serious problem. And I feel like we're not too far from there where we're going to have to really buckle down and, start really taking things apart to better utilize our recycling programs. Actually a lot of, I don't know about how it is where you are, Max, but at least I know where me and Jessa are. A lot of the towns and counties around us, they don't all take the same kind of recycling. So so you have to do your research as to which kinds of materials are okay to put in the recycle, and it varies from town to town.
Okay.
Yeah, like I look under like if I have like a water bottle or something, I have to look under and it'll be like, okay, this is like a 3. This can be recycled here or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I kind of since I live in a different town from where I work, I think there's like one, I don't remember if it's a 2 or a 1, but there's a certain type of plastic that where the town where I work takes that the town where I live doesn't. So I try to bring those to the other town to put in their recycle. But it shouldn't even be that complicated. It should just be we can recycle. All materials can be repurposed. But yeah. Oh, you're a bot. Go away. I know you. Okay. Okay. If you ever see this name, we know this. It's a bot. There's a whole family of bots, and they're all last name buccarisis. Anyway. All right, guys. So unless there's any other points that anyone wants to bring up, I think we can wrap it up here. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. This was so much fun, and we're super excited to see you next month for the last book, I'm gonna cry, in the series, and we're gonna be talking about it over on Max's channel. So definitely check out everyone's channel in the description. Definitely go subscribe, and the info for our Discord will be in the description as well. And we will see you next time. Bye, Space Crew. Bye, guys. Thank you.